Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jimmy, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you everything I did to improve the battery life of my Samsung Galaxy device. Now, everything I share with you today, which is about 16 different tips or tricks or settings or features to change, you don't have to do all of this. You can do either half of it, you can do a third of it, and no matter what, you'll still be able to improve the battery life of your phone. Now, this is the Galaxy S25 Ultra. This is running Samsung One UI 7, but this pretty much correlates with almost any Android phone out there, especially if it's a Samsung phone. Now, if you go inside of settings, the first place that you'll head to save a little bit of battery life is go inside of the battery settings. And underneath power saving, we're not going to turn this one on, but on the top right-hand side, you have an option for adaptive power saving. So it'll turn on power saving either on or off automatically based on your usage patterns. So the first few days of you using your phone after you turn this on, it's pretty much locating and realizing when you use it, when you don't use it, and if you are using it, is it heavy-based or light-based? And then it'll turn on power saving based on that. So sometimes you look at your phone, it'll be in power saving mode, but it won't be as critical or crazy as this, but it will be kind of a mixture. It's a hybrid power saving mode that will be able to turn on automatically based on your usage, if it's either high, low, or if you're not using it. Now, the next area you can take a look at, this is for the health of your battery. Again, for the extendance of your phone usage, if you use it for several years, this is something that will definitely help out. So this is battery protection. So you have basic, adaptive, and maximum. Now, basic just means that it's going to charge your phone all the way to 100%, and then it's going to stop. When it goes back down to 95, it's going to charge again. But that's just going through the battery cycle and battery life of your phone, so that's actually not that great. This one is a little bit better. This is adaptive. It stops the charging at 80% as you are sleeping. So if you're somebody who charges it as you sleep, this might be the best option for you. And what it'll do is it's going to go up to 80%, then it'll go to basic, which is where it's going to start going back up to 100%, but it's going to know when you usually wake up to make sure that your phone is at 100% by the time you wake up. So if you have an alarm set for 7, that means that probably at like 6:30, it's going to start charging again to get you at 100% by the time you wake up. Now, this one will extend the battery life of your phone if you hold it for a much longer time. You can have maximum where it'll only go to 80%, stop, and it's not going to charge anymore, so you don't go through the full entire cycle. You can also choose the option for 85 or 90 or even 95. So, if you know that you're going to be a little busy, you can kind of switch it to 85 or 90. If you know you're going on a vacation or to go into Disney World, just turn this thing off. Make sure you have a full battery for that full entire day. But if you're just regular work, regular everyday use, you can maybe just put up to like 85% and then you're good to go. And then you just want to make sure that you don't kill the battery all the way down. I would state that if you are not at home yet and you still have to have a charge in your phone, if you get down to 20%, then you can probably start charging again. And really, you are giving a big difference between not using the rest of your 20% and not charging the last 15. And that's helping you with the battery life cycle of your device. Now, the next thing that you can take a look at inside of these battery settings is to take a look at the background usage limits. And the reason why is because this right here, as long as you put on, the unused apps to put to sleep, you can look right here as the deep sleeping apps. You can find some of these that you know for a fact that like, oh, I haven't used this for quite some time. I should probably get rid of it. So as I'm scrolling through here, if there's any of these that I really don't need, or I can always just re-get them later on, like let's say Great Clips, either I can delete it, which right now it's disabled. So either I can delete it or I can just archive it. So in this way, it's not running in the background. So if it's something that you're not using, then you don't have to always have it going on in the background or sitting on your phone. So it is archived, it's sitting there. All I got to do is just restore it, which is just a simple way of just re-bringing it back to the device. So scroll through some of these, find some stuff that, if you don't really use it. So like this one, I don't use all that often. I'm just going to archive it. So it's not really kind of sitting on my phone. The icon is sitting on my phone, but the application is not there. That is taking up some of my notifications or the background running applications. So background usage limits is pretty nice to take a look at those deep sleeping ones, because those are the ones that you haven't used for quite some time. And then you're able to limit it when it comes down to your battery usage. So for me, rather than just uninstalling, I'll archive it so I can bring it right on back without having to do all of my login credentials. And then down here is just a couple things I don't really need to talk about all too much. You can take a look at the auto dim screen. So when it gets down to 5%, it'll auto dim, show battery percentage. So you're always wary of, where you are sitting. And then right here, just take a look at what is taking up the most battery. So for me, it's these three. Life 360, I actually just signed out. I don't always use it, but if I do want to use it, then I'll just log right back in. Or I could have just archived it just like I did from before. Now next up, let's take a look at the lock screen and always on display. So this is where you want to go to your always on display and turn it off. Or if you are somebody who loves the always on display, then you can turn it on, but only do the option to show when you tap the screen. So you can have it as auto, you can have always, as scheduled, or for new notifications. And this is actually a way to save battery. Rather than hitting your little side key to power up the full entire phone, getting the screen very bright, loading everything, you can just do it with a simple tap. So if you do like your always on display, choose the option of tap to show. So you can tap it, it's going to be dimmer, you can see what is going on, and that is it, and it's going to turn right back off. Rather than you doing this full entire thing, it's doing biometrics, waiting for fingerprint, waiting for your face recognition. It's a brighter screen. So I would say for always on display, either turn it off or do the option for tap to show. Tip number 5, this is one that you might not think of immediately, but when you have a Google search bar widget on your screen, or if you just have anything Google on your phone, and you have the wake up word, which I'm not going to say it, but it's, hey, G. This right here is always waiting to be activated by the activation words. So it's taking some battery life, always listening, waiting for just those activated words. So if you go inside of your Google, you tap on your little icon on the top right, and then you go to settings. This is where you go to this option right there, which is the Google Assistant. And that's the words right there that I'm not going to say, because if I do, it might activate a bunch of your devices. So this is where you tap on the Google Assistant, and then inside of voice match on the top, turn it off. So pretty much it's going to the HG word, activate your assistant anytime you say that, even if your screen is off. Requires voice match so your assistant can tell you apart from other people. Now I do keep the option for while driving just because it is safe. So if I'm in Google Maps or Waze, I will be able to use that, but it's not going to be on 24/7 waiting for me to state this, which again will take a little bit of battery life. Now, one that is very similar to that is the fingerprint. So there is a setting where you can actually always have it work even if the screen is off. So right now, normally if I tap right there, my screen would unlock. Now, a lot of times, if you're going to unlock your device anyways, you might do a double tap, you might do a side press, and then you go into your phone or whatever. But if your little fingerprint area is always waiting to see if your fingerprint will touch it to unlock it, that takes a little bit of battery life. So where you're able to change this is you go inside of your settings, you're going to scroll on down, you're going to take a look at your security and privacy. So with security and privacy, this is where you have your lock screen and biometrics. You tap this, this is where you put in your PIN. Now, once you have done that, you can see that I have my PIN, my face recognition, and fingerprints. If you tap on fingerprints, this is where you have more settings for fingerprint. And some of you may have this turned on. I used to always have it turned on, and I turn it off just to save a little bit of battery life, and I can tell a little bit of a difference because it's always going to be there. You can even have like the little icon on as well. So sometimes it's like on with always on display, or tap to show, or something like that. So pretty much if you turn this one off, you'll still be able to get in your phone with your fingerprint usage, but it's just not going to happen when the screen is off, which maybe sometimes people don't do, but I got so accustomed to it that I always did do it, but I did turn it off to save a little bit of battery life. And this also where you can, turn off some of your animation. Tip number 7, this is one that you might not think about, and it's actually one that I thought of today when I was thinking of this video, because earlier I made my own vibration patterns, and some of them were pretty complex. And then I remembered that the vibration motors inside of here is taking some of my battery to give me all those vibrations. And if you have any phone like me with a lot of stuff logged in, you get a lot of notifications through the day, which means that that vibration motor runs so many different times. So simplify your vibrations. All you'd have to do is just go right inside your setting, and this is where you have sounds and vibrations. And with this one, this is where you can go to like your system sound, you have your volume, but here's your call vibration. Now beforehand, I had one that was really crazy. And a lot of these ones, if you just play with it, you can feel how much vibrations is really going through. So for a call, I want it to be distinctive of a text. A call, I want it to know in my pocket that I'm getting something. So this one's like a beep, 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 beep. So it's really not that bad. If you compare it versus the rest of these, a lot of these are complicated, and it would take more battery life if you always keep your phone ringing, especially if someone's calling you all the time. And then the same thing with notification. I'd put this one as medium. So there is a short one, but you might miss it. Medium is not too bad. And then you got basic. This is the one that goes, and then it goes. The medium one is one that's a quicker vibration, again, taking less battery to spin that vibration motor. Again, go through a bunch of these ones and just kind of feel it. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say some of these are more complicated than others. Take some of these quicker and easier ones, and you'll still get the notifications. And especially if you have a watch, that is probably the number one tip to have to save the battery life on your phone. So this way you're looking at your watch and not your device of which notification just came through. And since we're on the topic of vibrations, you can actually turn off the haptic feedback and even the sounds of your Samsung keyboard. Now, my phone is always in vibration mode. It's never in sound, and it's rarely in silent. So for me, I don't get any of the sounds from it, but I do get a little bit of the haptic feedback. But you forget how often you use your keyboard on your Samsung phone. You actually use it quite often. And every single time that you are tapping on any of these letters, which could be hundreds or thousands of letters a day, you are getting haptic feedback, which takes battery. So what you can do is just open up your Samsung keyboard. You can scroll on down, and this is where you go to that swipe, touch, and feedback. So for this one, this is where you want to go right there for the touch feedback. Now, my sound is already off, which it doesn't matter anyways because my phone is always in vibration mode. But this is where you can turn off vibration. Now, for me, 99% of the time when I'm typing something, I know where the letters and numbers are based on just regular touch and feel and memory of my muscle memory. But I'm also watching what I'm typing as well too. So I don't need the feedback to come through to let me know that a letter is on my screen because I can see the letter on my screen. This is one of those things that might be so very minimalistic that you're like, screw it, I'm going to keep the haptic feedback on. I like it. That's fine. You can keep it on. But I'm just sharing with you all the steps you could take to actually save you some battery on your device and improve the battery life. Now let's talk about ways of improving your battery life when it comes down to Wi-Fi. So as you know, if you're not using a Wi-Fi, you're not going to connect to one, you always turn this thing off. So if you're walking down New York or Chicago or driving through neighborhoods, if your Wi-Fi is turned on, it's pinging and finding all of these ones, and then it's going to take it off your list and it's going to find more, and that just takes battery life. So you can actually have a setting where you can connect it automatically on and off. So if you press and hold on Wi-Fi, you go inside of your details, this is your Wi-Fi settings. On the top right-hand side, you have this option for intelligent Wi-Fi, and this is the setting that we're talking about. It'll turn on and off automatically when you arrive somewhere. So you can have it memorize and know if you're going to work or if you are at home, and you just tap on this to expand its settings. I'm not going to tap it because I'm not going to give you all my details here on the internet, but pretty much this is the one that you want to turn on, so then this way it'll turn on and off automatically. So the moment I get home, it connects to my Wi-Fi, which is a better, stable connection, taking less battery life than it trying to find a good mobile network tower and pinging off everything. Now it's fun. There's actually a few additional things that you have inside of here. You can switch it to mobile data if you have a bad connection with Wi-Fi. So if you're staying at a hotel and if it's not really that good, it's going to take battery life because it's trying to give you a smooth experience. So if it's very bad or slow or unstable, it'll just automatically switch you to mobile data, which, you know, if you have a good signal there, it's going to take less battery life than it trying to give you a good internet connection. And this one's pretty cool. Inside of here, you can switch to a better Wi-Fi network. So if it finds a better one, it'll actually switch to it, but it usually always does it when the screen is off. There's a toggle that it'll do it as you are using the phone. So if you turn this one on as you are using it, it'll switch to a better Wi-Fi network. It might pause what you're doing for a second and then reconnect you, but that's pretty much about it. I just thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to share it with you, but this is the main one here, which is turn on and off automatically. Now next up, let's talk about the display options. Now I know a lot of people might start with display options, but because I feel like you've already seen a lot of this, I put it towards the end of the video. So inside of display, there's several things you can do. First off, use dark mode, not light mode. These are OLED devices, which means that if it is black, that means that there's nothing being turned on or being illuminated to display black. So everything that is black that you see on the screen is just completely off. If you have light mode, you're using so much more battery life to illuminate everything. And also, I don't think it's really that good on your eyes anyways. So dark mode is the best. you have adaptive brightness. So that means if you go to a darker room, it'll slightly bring it down a little bit for you. Again, bringing down the brightness does help out, so you're not cranking up with your battery to display a brighter display. Now, I do keep my motion smoothness on. I do love the 120 hertz refresh rate, and I'm not going to go down to 60. So I am going to keep that at adaptive, and I'm not going to take that away from us. Now, scrolling down, this is where you have your screen resolution. Some people can tell the difference between Full HD Plus and Quad HD Plus. Some people don't. But if you put it in the middle, Full HD Plus, it still looks really good. It still has improved visuals and moderate battery usage. This one is the sharpest visuals and the most battery usage. So if you know that you're going to use your phone maybe for a long time of watching some content, you can just switch it to the Quad HD Plus if you want to. But for your normal day-to-day life using regular applications, Full HD Plus is just fine, and it will save you a little bit of battery life. Now, next up, the screen timeout. Now, I would suggest for most people to use 1 minute or 30 seconds. But because I'm a YouTuber, I show you my phone for quite some time. I like the 2 minutes. That's what I use, and it's perfectly fine. I'd probably state that the 5 and the 10 is a little overkill, because if you just set your phone down, you walk away, it'll be on for that full entire 10 minutes. But 2 minutes for me is a good little time. Again, for my profession, I would suggest you guys maybe 1 minute or 30 seconds. And then to finish this one out really quick for this category, I want to talk about the home screen. So make sure you take a look at your wallpapers. It's nothing too crazy, nothing that's moving a ton, nothing that's super bright. You want to go with something that's a little bit darker or mild, kind of like this. And when you take a look at your widgets, make sure that these ones are in dark mode. So I had it as light mode to kind of give a little bit of a contrast, but again, OLED displays. If it's black, there is no battery usage displaying black because the black screen is black. It's giving a little bit of battery usage with the grays and the greens and the whites. Now, next up is talk about one of the other major factors that takes up a lot of battery life, and that is notifications. That's because it's always syncing. You're always getting notified of something. Every time something happens, you might get 100 notifications for one application alone. So what you can do is you can actually moderate a little bit of that. So if you go inside of your settings and you go to notifications, so we already talked about if you have deep sleeping applications, you can just archive them or something like that so you can use them later. But when you go inside of app notifications, just go through a few of these. Just look at some of these that you really don't need the notifications for, because you find yourself going in that application several times a day anyways. So especially for, let's say, Facebook. I barely really use Facebook. I just share something here and there. So I have my notifications turned off. Anytime I open up Facebook, if it's just a few times a day, that's when I get those notifications through the application itself, not on the top like what you just see right there as a notification. So go through a few of these and see what you really want as a notification. Let's say that I tap on this. You can even show which type of notifications you want. So if you don't care about any of those type of pop-ups and you only want a badge, there you go. You're going to get a little bit of a badge on the bottom. You're not going to get the notification on the top. And the other thing is, since we're talking about these applications, just go through some of these. If you don't use them, delete them or archive them. If you rarely use them, turn off the notifications. So for Messenger, I can just turn this off. I get messages all the time through Messenger, so I can just open it up and then I'll be able to get them that way. And usually if I get something through Messenger, it's not really that important. So I'm going to turn that off anyways. But the other thing is that you can do is go to your accounts. Look at all the accounts that you have on your phone. And if there's an old Gmail account that you really don't use, just take it off or unsync them. Like turn off the sync of a very, very old Gmail that you have on here that you randomly created for some giveaway or something. Because if you have all these accounts and Gmails and all that stuff that is on your phone, it's always syncing in the background. And now to close out this video, let's talk about gaming. So maybe out of your 7 hours of screen on time, you have like 4.5 hours of you playing a game, and it probably doesn't really require a lot. So for example, Toon Blast. This is something that I'll spend, a little while on the weekends, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But for the time that I'm playing this, I have it in a performance mode of kind of like a battery saver. Everything is smooth. Everything is great. The gameplay is still perfect. I don't need to have performance or balanced on. So for this game that I put in a little bit of time on, or quite a bit of time, you go inside of your game booster. And for this game, you can see that I have it pretty much as a game optimization of battery saver. So if I tap on this arrow, I can go to game optimization and I can choose the option of battery saver. Now, if there's other games that you want to have more, you have like your frames per second or your screen resolution or frame booster. If there's a game that you need to have it as performance mode, it's going to take more battery. Automatically, this one was set on balanced. I think almost all the games are set as balanced. But if you know that it's one that doesn't require a lot, just put on your battery saver. and then you hit unsave. Now I can't hit save because battery saver is already the setting that it's in right now. So if I pull this down one more time and then you take a look at it, you can see that this game optimization is underneath battery saver. So that is everything that I wanted to share in this video. Everything from common sense from the battery settings and display settings all the way down to the little nook and crannies of the things that are hidden that maybe you've never heard of before or even thought of before, like the always on fingerprint or the wake up call for Google or the Wi-Fi intelligence or anything like that. So hopefully you have learned something in this video. Try a bunch of these out, see how it'll improve your battery life. And later on, I'll actually share what all of this did to my device with showing you the battery life of a true full-on day of me using my phone. Hopefully you guys have appreciated this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Subscribe on the very bottom left-hand side. And if you like this video, then more than likely you'll also like this video. And I'll see you guys later.